He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
Now, and it's really important for the audience to understand that the price of houses is set at the margins. That's something, I know that's a phrase we use sometimes, and sometimes the listeners and viewers are thinking, what the fuck is he talking about? It's what was the last sale. The last purchase price creates the market value for the neighborhood.
100%. Yeah, it does.
And what that means is if someone is coming to look at a semi in Vaughan, or a semi in Rexdale, or a semi in, I don't know, by York University. Okay. Is it still York University? Changed the name?
York's still there.
York's still there. Okay. So, so if you want to buy a semi in those sort of farther flung parts of the 416 905, and it's somebody who is coming to you with saying, I don't know if I need a mortgage, or I don't, I can put 50% down, and it's a person whose spouse doesn't even live here. They're a permanent resident, but their spouse doesn't even live here. The spouse lives in another country, probably China. Okay. So I only need this much mortgage. Can we get it done somehow? And I've got this huge down payment, and I just want to buy this semi. But they already had a house they lived in. Is that accurate? That's pretty accurate?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. And they said, and to your point, you explained to them, the math doesn't work. I mean, you will lose money on this property. And their reaction is, let's buy it anyway. That sum it up?
Exactly.
Okay, so that creates the marginal sale. That is somebody who's willing to overpay for the semi in the distant parts of 416, which creates a new value in the marketplace, which now the entire neighborhood can say, well, I think I can get a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, for a lot more because this is the new value in my marketplace.
Exactly.
Okay, so maybe I can buy something.
It's true.
I could buy a rental. So this is fundamental, and I'm fully prepared to admit that's something I hadn't thought about correctly until I read John's report. This is so important. Like, we always knew investors distorted markets. You and I have talked about it in the past, but you've kind of quantified the timeline of how distorted it got and how many investors there were. Like, at some point in 2021, wasn't 75% of the market investors buying?
In pre-construction condos, yes. Not in like the resale market. But the resale market, I mean, again, people don't realize how significant it is. Like, in the past 10 years, the share of homes bought by end users and families is declining, and the share bought by investors is actually increasing. And this is like resale existing homes. So I think investors have gone from 20% to 30% in Canada nationally. And obviously in some markets, they're higher than others.
Well, like Toronto and Vancouver.
100%. Yes, exactly.
So we might be looking at 40% in those areas. Okay. And to your point, the investor is really today's the smaller investor, not an institution, not a person who's building purpose-built rentals to have a REIT take it over and looking at 30 years worth of profit potential. This is a human being, or mom and pop, we keep calling them, buying a property as an investment, not too concerned about the losing math of the rental on the property, and buying it anyway. And the reaction and the thought process is always the same. Capital appreciation.
Exactly.
The money you put in, leveraged by the mortgage, it's going to grow. It's going to grow significantly. Like your point, 30%. And what was a quarter?
It was year over year.
Year over year. 1 year, 30%. Same thing happened in 21.
It did. Actually, yeah.
Not as much as in Central 416, but in 905,
for
absolutely.
Sure. 100%. Yeah.
30% jump in 1 year.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. So there's been a couple of incidents of 30% rises in a single year.
Yep.
And that would make any investor salivate, right? I mean, because it's leveraged. Like you only put in 20%.
Exactly.
So you bought something for $500,000. It went to 800,000. You'd only put in $100,000.
Oh yeah.
But you get to keep all the profit.
Exactly. It's like 300. Exactly. You've like tripled your money.
It tripled your money in a year.
Yeah.
Okay. So the concept to encapsulate it is, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
You're buying you're an investor and a whole squad of investors buying tons of houses, tons of apartments, tons of condos, and you're getting the appreciation. So it's good, right? I mean, let's do some more. Mm-hmm. So does that sort of bring us to the present day?
Well, exactly. I was going to say it's self-fulfilling until it breaks. Right?
It's self-fulfilling until it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Until you add in higher interest rates. And I think when people don't get when I write about this stuff, I mean, I see a lot of people on Twitter, I'm active on X, and they think I'm blaming investors for. I'm not blaming anybody. It's like irrational to blame an investor for investing. They want to make money.
Right.
Right. Like it's insane. So that's not the problem. I mean, I think the problem is we've built a system in Canada where that's the easiest way to get rich. And we kind of support that in Canada. Governments think that's the solution. And yes, it was all fine until
it wasn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've overbuilt, like you said, these micro condos because that's all investors wanted. So we've kind of oversupplied this one type of housing because it was fueled by speculation. And we're not having any family homes. Like we're not building any because
haven't built any.
We're not. Exactly.